Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. Shall we see what's going on our lovely little island of Fawnhollow today? Where anything exciting happened? Yeah, actually. Sorry, as I readjust my seating position in probably the noisiest way possible. Look forward to, but not the camera, the screen to get ready. Yeah, had a MRI scan earlier today. You'd be like, ooh, what was that like? Honestly, MRI scans are not very interesting. It's not the first one I've ever had in my life. I've had, is this a third one, maybe? Third or fourth, somewhere along there. But anyway, hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 3:12 PM on Friday, October 8th, 2021. Now for today's announcements. Today we have a visitor staying at the campsite. Go meet our guest in person and find out more about them. That we will do. But yeah, MRI scans are not very interesting. If you don't know, it's just a giant tube you sort of like lie on your back and you get pushed into, and it makes huge whirring noises like over and over again, and then you're done after like 10 to 15 minutes depending on how many scans they do. Yo dear, so I had this dream. I was playing baseball on the moon and it was snowing protein powder, and the hoop was made of fish, and then I won and was crowned king of the moon muscle city. Anyway, I got you this dream athlete tank. So yeah, but basically the long and short of it is it's not very exciting doing an MRI scan. You would have thought there'd be more like anecdotes or something you can really spring off of it. No, not really. You sort of just go in and you just lie down, and then you just wait. You just try and keep as still as possible, you know, deep, slow breaths. To not like twitch. Oh, you're like, are you Benny? You're Egbert, never mind. I thought you were Benedict. But you are not. That is a different chicken, methinks. Yeah, but there's really not much to say about the entire thing. It's just a very dull process, I suppose. It's very straightforward. You just lie down and just do your best sleeping impersonation. I will say, with every single MRI scan I've had so far, it's always been very uncomfortable. It's not quite as comfortable as lying down on like a bed or anything, because obviously if they can't give you a bed, you sort of just lying on a plastic sheet, I suppose, with a little bit of padding on you. But you get a pillow and you get some other stuff to like lift up your legs or put between your arms and that sort of thing to distinguish between the different parts of your body. It's just I'm reasonably tall, and sometimes because of the way I lie down. But the annoying thing is, once you go inside that tube, you have to sort of hold that position for ages. So after lying there for 5 minutes, you're just like, oh, you know what, this position wasn't as comfortable as I thought it was. It turns out I was like tensing my muscle or whatever. You can't really sort of relax it. I mean, I guess maybe you could, because the machine goes in like spurts. You're like for like a few minutes, and then it stops, and then it starts again, which I assume is some sort of taking another picture from like another perspective or something along those lines. I guess then you can adjust, but you know, it's kind of hard to know when or if you can adjust in the first place. So sometimes when you lie down, it's just very uncomfortable. And you know, the one I got today, it was just like he came out and was like, "Hey, you right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I just like looked at my arms, and my arms, like my elbows had like really deep impressions in from like the thing I was lying on, because there was like grooves and the size of I don't know what they're called, you know. The stretcher-like object. It's not really a stretcher, but like because there's grooves and like creases and on the side, because you know, this is like slide back and forth as like moving parts of my thing. My elbows were literally just like on that the entire time, being pinched, which you know wasn't really a problem at the beginning, but then it became a problem like 15 minutes into the actual scan. I was just like, this is really uncomfortable, but you know, held it together for the most part. It wasn't as bad as like the third or second time that I had MRI scan, where for some reason my arm kept like involuntarily twitching, and I think it was because it just got it was not comfortable the first time I went in, so it just kept twitching, and then they were just like, okay, your arm's moving too much, we're gonna have to like weigh it down, and then my arm just got like it started aching because it was just like trying to hold a position for so long. I suppose maybe it's something like, you know, it's a sort of situation where you overthink it too much when you start like moving, being like, am I moving? Was I like holding my breath? Was I like tensing? Was I not tensing? I don't know. And you just like, when you overthink it too much, it becomes a little bit difficult to really to hold a position that you particularly wanted. And I'm not. This is not like really much you can sort of do about it. It just kind of is. I also did not pay attention to what these Nook Mile missions were. Hit rocks, talk to people, DIY projects, plants and trees, or shrubs. Okay. I just immediately forgot. DIY projects, hit rocks, something else. Anyway, so yeah, that happened. Had to have a small trip into London to do that. You might be like, is it something serious? No, it's not something. Well, hopefully it's not something serious. If it becomes something serious, that would be quite a shock to me. But no, it's not nothing particularly serious. And I'm not really going to delve into any further, to be honest, because that's personal information. But I can just talk about MRI scans in general, I suppose. Like, I'm not even sure how MRI scans really work. What does it stand for? It sounds like magnetic resonance imaging, I guess? I don't know what else I would stand for. Let's see if that's right. I feel like I learned how MRI scans worked back in magnetic resonance imaging. Very close. Back in secondary school. And wasn't it something to do with it, like measures like water droplets and how it behaves in magnetic fields, because water molecules are polar or something? Hold on. MRI is a medical imaging technique using radiology to form pictures of the anatomy and the psychological process of a body. Okay. Uses strong magnetic fields, magnetic field gradients, and radio waves to generate images. But how? How? It doesn't use ionizing radiation, which I know is why is quite good. That's it. It's a medical application of NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance, which was something I learnt about in chemistry, which is a way to sort of understand compounds and that sort of thing, which is I cannot remember it properly. It's something like, because these molecules have like polar charges on them or something. We sort of like see how they flip in like the magnetic field and the sorry, the field induced by the electric current or something, this magnetic field. And is it like their spin? No, that doesn't sound like that. That sounds too small level. Yeah. Hold on, let's see. NMR is a physical phenomenon in which nuclei in a strong, constant magnetic field are perturbed by a weak, oscillating magnetic field. That sounds right. I just remember there's some sort of oscillations which are going on, and that somehow measured it, and it occurs near resonance. Oh, and I suppose that depending on what the frequency of a magnetic field is when that resonance part, I suppose, gets reached, and that's how you can sort of deduce things from it. Okay, so it's been a while since I've done A-level chemistry. I haven't even done A-level biology, so I can't quite recall MRI. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, MRI sounds a lot more grand than it actually is. It's really boring as things go. In fact, it's even more boring in X-rays, because X-rays at least is over quite literally in a flash. You sort of stand around like in front of a panel, and you maybe have to hold like the screen up to yourself, or maybe they hold it up for you or whatever. And then they just go behind the screen and they're like, all right, and then click, and goes. That's not really the noise it makes. And then the X-ray's done. You just like turn around and you just do it again. It's over so incredibly quickly, so it's very convenient. Like MRI scans, you had to be there for ages. Like I can't imagine, it must be even more boring, like as the actual doctors, I suppose, or the radiographers, I suppose is probably the correct term. Doing the imaging, you're sort of just like chilling, and then you're like, all right, just sort of gotta, I don't know, wait ages for something to happen. Got to wait for the multiple images to take place, and once that takes place, you're just like, all right, what now? So I'm just trying to look at something over on my other monitor, which is why I'm just walking into things randomly, not intentionally, but but that do be how she goes. Yeah, because and it's even I'm not here to make light of medical professions or anything like this, or like being like, I can't believe it, making me do this. So obviously I understand the benefits of it. I'm just sort of playing it up for facetiousness, and it's more funny. It's more work doing an MRI scan as a patient than it is as not a radiographer, as compared to X-rays, or even I can't even think of other things, what other like scan things I've had. I've had this. I can't remember what it was, but it was to measure like the fattiness of my liver or something, where they basically like send these vibrations and they look at the vibrations as they come back. It was like FibroScan, is that right? I don't remember. It was literally technology I never heard of. I've also had an ultrasound as well. Okay, so on the list of what's the easiest to what's the hardest, like from a patient perspective, MRI definitely the hardest. It's the only one where you actually need to do anything, which is surprisingly do nothing, but you need to do nothing as little as possible, as much as possible. You need to hold completely still for as much as possible, because as I understand it, MRI sort of takes like multiple pictures together and then sort of I guess overlays them or composites them together, because they take like multiple slices of pictures or something like that, which they put together to really get a scan or something like that. I can't quite record off the top of my head. I just know that if you move around too much, I just like stop it. And I'm like, I can't. It's really like tiring, and makes my muscles ache just sort of lying here, you know, on this hard surface. And maybe my posture isn't very good and I can't decide whether I need to move or not. Also, when has this purple hyacinth got here? This isn't meant to be a purple hyacinth. How long has this been like this? How long have we had two purple hyacinths right next to each other? How long have we had two purple tulips right next to each other? Why did no one tell me that these two were switched somehow? I can't even plant a hyacinth there because there's a red hyacinth there. That's how annoying this is. But we can at least plant a purple tulip here. Didn't think I had to sort these out. Why don't we switch this hyacinth with this this mum? No, we can't. This rose? Nope. This mum. Yeah, okay. We can switch it with this one, and then hopefully, wait, can we even put the mum over here? Let's see. Before we fully commit to it. No, it can't be mum. It has to be. What flower does this have to be? It can't be any flower, if I'm looking at this correctly. What? How's this happened? No, it can be a pansy. Okay, it can be. It has to be a pansy. Noted. I mean, there's a pansy here. Can we switch this with a mum? No, we can't. Okay, well, this can be a hyacinth at least. We need to find a purple pansy with which we can switch things around. Well, we haven't had to do this for ages. Okay, we can't do it there. We can do it this one. We can do it this one. Okay. Okay, that was a bit of a diversion. So, MRI definitely at the top of the most work you had to put in, which, by the way, is basically nothing. It's all the doctors doing all the work, so don't get that twisted or anything. The doctors are doing literally everything. This is just me as a maybe an entitled customer. Well, more like playing the part of the entitled customer. I don't actually believe what I'm saying. It's just a funny thing to talk about, I suppose. MRI is definitely the most effort. Okay, ultrasound, FibroScan. Is it even called FibroScan? That might be a trademark name. I don't know. I'm not sponsored, by the way. I'm not even sure if these medical things can sponsor people. Can you imagine that? Being sponsored by like ultrasound technology or something. That'd be very weird. Possible, I'd guess. Like X-ray. You know, despite the fact you do nothing in an X-ray, you also do have to hold still for an X-ray. Do I have to chop a tree, or do I have to chop down a tree? An ultrasound, a bit more effort. Why? You have to hold your hands above your head for one, and also they put this really cold jelly on you. You know, you have to resist that temperature, I suppose. And you might say that sounds like a pretty minor thing, and it is. These are all very minor things, obviously. I guess FibroScan's pretty like up there, and like you don't really actually have to do anything. That's literally do anything with that. Like, no, actually, that's not true, because at some point, I can't remember. A lady who did it, she was like, you had to tense your muscles or something. When I say, is that a thing? Maybe that was ultrasound. It's getting all very confused. Either way, ultrasound and I think FibroScan is probably do the least. X-ray, you had to at least, if you're doing a standing X-ray, you at least have to hold something. And also, I guess you have to hold still. And it's a bit more tedious because you had to wait for the radiographers to go like behind a screen or whatever. If they had to go hide away so they don't, they don't just like intake a lethal amount of radiation or sort of accumulated over all the years, which, completely unreasonable thing to do for them. I'm joking, of course. Only 660 bucks, that's very cheap. It turns out we have a lot of things we need to put away into our storage. So I guess it goes MRI, X-ray, ultrasound, FibroScan. I'm trying to think if there's any other sort of imaging techniques in medicine. I don't know why I've had so many, I suppose. Most of them have been recent years, if anything. Medicine, imaging, methods, quiz, X-ray, CT scans. Have I had a CT scan? What is a CT scan? It combines X-ray with computer technology for a more detailed thing. How do you get a CT scan? Like, what's a machine required for a CT scan? This looks exactly the same as an MRI thing, except for it's not a tunnel; it's just a ring. It's a short form of an MRI scanner. There we go. I'm sure doctors right now, or radiographers specifically, are just like, ugh. What's this random YouTuber talking about? Just making fun of our imaging techniques. Believe me, well, Maybe you don't believe me, but it's not my intention to make fun of them. I think they're very... Honestly, the advent of technology is incredible. In fact, we can even pull these things sort of like off them in the first place. I say we. I'm not doing anything, but like doctors can do this stuff in the first place. It's incredible, I think. It's amazing what technology is nowadays. I don't think I've had a CT scan. If I have, I don't remember it, to be perfectly honest. MRI, other imaging, ultrasound, bone scan. What the heck? Bone scan? Why does that sound significantly more cursed than the others? This doesn't even have FibroScan on here. FibroScan. Is it called FibroScan? FibroScan. Yeah. It's a specialized ultrasound machine for your liver. Which was interesting. I think I actually talked about this because this was probably recent enough that there was within the Animal Crossing series. It's like, you know, then they put a little bit of jelly on, and they hold like this rod thing up to your, like, where your liver is. I mean, you just feel like a sort of like soft fudding, like very soft. So it sort of like feels like someone's flicking your stomach, I suppose. Which is apparently them like sending vibrations out and seeing how the vibrations come back, and like, because I remember I asked a radiographer about like, how does this even work? And wait, do we need to hit rocks? That's what she said, and it's because like the vibration travels at a different speed in fat than it does in liver tissue. I was going to call it muscle, but that's probably not right now I think about it. In liver tissue, and thus by seeing how long it takes to travel back, you can sort of, I suppose, make deductions about how fatty your liver is. By the way, mine's just a normal amount, which is good. You know, I have a healthy liver, which, you know, is good considering my age. And I suppose it'd be quite shocking if I had an unhealthy liver. Also, not as much Joy-Con dread right now because I'm using the blue and red Joy-Cons instead of the green and pink ones. So, celebrations for that and salutations. Yeah, I don't know, sort of like medical imaging processing techniques. Like, the fact they even exist in the first place is miraculous because I don't even know what you do in the olden days before these were even things. You just sort of go like, oh, well, I guess the option is you just guess what's going on, which I'm sure has a very high success rate, of course. The alternative is like, do you have to do like some sort of open surgery? But like, okay, well, we really kind of need to look like in your chest cavity to see if there's anything's going on in there. So I guess we'll just sort of slice you open to see exactly if anything's going on. I can't imagine that's how it works. That sounds a little strange, at the very least to me. Why am I here, Phoebe? Oh, I'm here to give you presents, that's why. Oh, we should have given one to Tank as well. I don't know why we didn't. We saw him earlier as well. Yeah, like, it's sort of one of those advents of technology where it's like, wow, this is incredibly useful, but not like even in the way that you even realise it. It's even more useful than you might think, I suppose. Because, as it happens with any sort of medical science, I'd imagine information sort of is key. It's king or queen, I suppose, depending how you want to put it. Because there's a lot of different medical things out there, you know, problems, I suppose is perhaps the best way to put it, and being able to collect information, as much information on a patient as possible, because externally you've only got so many, I suppose, factors you can particularly consider. You'd be like, do they have a fever, you know, is there vision blurred, etc, things like that. And obviously all of this is also like not necessarily the most accurate thing because it's done through the veil of actually talking to the customer, who might be like, yeah, you know, they might not have the most accurate account, so it'd be like, oh, well, you know, it goes back to the classic questions that how much does it hurt from a scale of 1 to 10? And I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know what a 1 pain feels like compared to a 10 pain feels like. And, you know, obviously I'll give an answer in the end, like, or what I think, I'm assuming, because obviously I'm not, while I like to do things on, I suppose, a vista of logic, and reason, it's not quite so much that I don't understand, you know, the purpose of it is just to sort of to get a bit of a gauge of how much pain I'm particularly in, and like, whether it's bearable or not, and that's why I make up my own scale. And I never really know what scale we're going for, but I assume the scale is 1 from just being like, I can feel the pain, but it's not bothersome, to 10 being like, this is crippling pain. So, you know, and I'm adapt, I'm flexible in more ways than one. I know what we're going for, but it was always a little bit of an ambiguous sort of thing in the first place, isn't it? what was like, what actual pain am I feeling? I don't know. What if they're lying? What if they're just trying to get medicine and they're not actually feeling any pain, or that sort of thing? But I suppose with these sort of techniques, well, actually now I think about it, I don't think imaging can really sort of show how much pain someone's actually in. But, you know, it can at least give you a better insight into what's going on. You know, like, oh, I'm like a sharp 10 pain in my chest. What is it, you know? And is it, do they have some serious lung or chest infection which is inhibiting their breathing, or is it, you know, they've got like some internal bleeding going on there? So if it's a bit if you don't like all this medical stuff, and I apologise, or maybe they've got something like lodged in their sternum. How does that work? I don't know. But these sort of imaging processes can give the doctors answers. They can give a bit of insight. They can be like, oh, you know, that this rules out this possibility, this rules out that possibility, etc., etc., which makes things, of course, on the whole, much easier to deal with. And, you know, it's sort of like with any problem you really face in life, the more information you have about it, well, I suppose if you say it like the better, that can sound a bit misleading, but it's more like the more prepared you are to deal with the situation, you know, the more possibilities you can rule out, the more things you can take into consideration, the more things you can pay attention to / not pay attention to, depending on really how it needs to go. And yeah, so basically, all in all, it's a small sacrifice to pay to have to sit there a little bit aimlessly as an MRI scanner goes around you to, you know, not to basically get answers, I suppose. I wonder if it's rather boring though, being a radiographer. As a one who has to, like, I wonder if it's like a low, like on the radiographer scale, is it one of the lower tier jobs, actually having to operate the X-rays and that sort of thing? One, why do I think this? One, mainly because you actually have to deal with patients in the first place, and everyone knows that humans are dumb, myself included, by the way. You know, having to deal with people. You know, sometimes you can get very belligerent people who want to complain all the time and just, you know, and sometimes you get people who just have no sense of awareness of what's going on, and you have to explain the same thing over and over and over again, because, to be fair, it's not like it's particularly expected for people not in the medical industry to be experts in the medical industry in the first place. So, you know, it's a bit unsurprising that I don't really know what's going on, MRI scan and that sort of thing. And if you don't like dealing with people, I suppose that's sort of just like a terrible outcome. So maybe that's why. But also, on the other hand, maybe it's one of the really high level jobs, because, you know, actually operating a machinery, I suppose, in the first place is, you know, quite important, isn't it? You'd rather have a most qualified person for the job operating machinery, right? Just so you can be like, yeah, this is how things are done. This is you want a good X-ray, and you don't want to have excessive ones, because if you have excessive ones, then it's just like, oh, you know, now I had to get exposed to excessive amounts of radiation or something, just because maybe one of the people didn't know how to take an X-ray properly. I don't know. I'm not saying this is necessarily how it goes, but yeah. So I don't know, if you're well aware of the radiography sort of business, please do let me know how it sort of goes. Is that boring? Because I got a peek behind the curtain, you know. You had the people, the radiographers who actually were speaking to me and like interfacing with me on a human level, and then I just like looked behind. I got to see a peek into the radiographer room, the people actually taking the scans or something. Where, you know, two people who didn't even see before. Like you know, I met a receptionist. She told me to sit down, and, you know, just waited a bit until I was called, and was like, I assume a radiographer or a nurse. I don't know. Came into the room, called me over, and, you know, asked me. You know, they ask you a load of questions, obviously, because the MRI can be kind of dangerous if you have anything like magnetic or metallic inside of you, if like a false hip or like molar fillings or anything like that. Yeah, so they ask you a load of things about, like, is it possible you have metal inside of you, or like are you pregnant, or is there any chance of you being pregnant? And I'm like, no. Things like that. And yeah, and then that nurse left, and like I keep calling them nurses, if they shouldn't be nurse, because I don't actually know the nurses. And then a different radiographer came in and asked me another time the same, not all the same questions, but some of the same questions, and very, very big emphasis of, do you have a pacemaker? Which I assume is because the other things, you're leaving for an island? No. Got a stroke? No, don't go. Well, colour me flummoxed, didn't know you cared. What am I going to do with you, kiddo? Guess I ain't moving. You taught this old eagle into lingering around. Thanks, Apollo. What was I saying? We need to catch bugs, that's what we're doing. And then we need to craft, and then that'll probably be it for this episode. Yeah, but I guess it's because if you have a pacemaker, and then you get put in the MRI machine, that can actually break it, and then, you know, you'll literally die, I suppose, because you don't have a heartbeat. I don't mean to laugh at that in such like a callous way or anything, but it's just like, you know, they kind of make sense. But they want to reiterate that multiple times compared to things like, I guess, like, if you have metallic, if there's a chance you have like metal in your like body part which you weren't aware of, and most it would just like sort of cause you a bit of harm, I suppose, as it sort of magnetically gets ripped out of you. But a pacemaker will be literally like life-threatening on the spot. So yeah, this other radiographer came, she asked me, she was like, double check you don't have a pacemaker, don't have this or that, and I was like, no, it's all good. They were like, alright, come in. And then the first radiographer came back, and she was the one who did everything. She like gave me pillows, gave me like things to hold, explained the process, and I was like, don't worry, I understand. I also have done an MRI scan before, so you know, I'm aware of the process. You gave me, you know, anytime you panic or something goes wrong, you got this like thing which you squeeze in your hand, and it just like stops everything. I don't really know how it works because I've never squeezed it or anything, because I've never needed to. But I think the first time I had an MRI scan, it wasn't. I thought there was a flower missing there. I was going to be like, what? Also, why are there no bugs? It was like a button you press. I guess people kept accidentally pushing a button and they didn't mean to, so now it's an actual thing you had to squeeze. You actually had to tense your entire fist, I suppose. That was a bug. To activate the emergency stop button. I forget how easy those get spooked, huh? I didn't even see that one. It was behind a thing. Why is it so difficult to catch some bugs? Where are the bugs? Where are the butterflies? I guess it's October, so there's no more butterflies. The only ones which spawn is the monarch butterfly now, isn't it? Hold on a minute. These flowers aren't meant to be here. Wait, why don't I put flowers here? Why have I stopped flowers here, but there's a tree here? I don't know. I've got no clue. Yeah, so it was only a team of 4 actually, people just working together to do these MRI scans. It must be very boring, you know, especially if the patient moves a lot. You'd be like, oh yes, we've got another squirmer. I suppose it's a weird way of putting it. What's even spookier, so because like you need to put like earplugs in, and then you put like earmuff headphones things over the top, because it's very, very noisy. MRI machines are extraordinarily noisy, and you'll probably get hearing damage or hearing loss if you're exposed to it for too long. And seeing as you're in the literal epicenter of the machine, it's a sort of situation where it's like, you know, it's a good thing that they give you both earplugs and headphones. But it's a spooky thing because they can communicate to you through the headphones, and it feels like someone's like talking in your brain through a walkie-talkie though. Because they were, to me, they were just like, all right, nice deep breaths, like halfway through or whatever, which I took as a symbol to being like, you're fidgeting too much because you're breathing too like rapidly or something. But to be fair, they put something on my chest, which I can't, like, she explained to me how it worked, except for I couldn't hear her because she explained to me after I put the earplugs in. So she was just, I heard someone was like, it helps like things bounce back and forth in your chest, and I was like, sure. Like, I would be interested in how this works, except for I literally can't hear you very well because I have earplugs and headphones on. So it was pretty difficult to really make up much of a sound. But yeah, they very much feel like they're in your head, speaking to you, which is a bit of an unsettling thing if you're not prepared for it, and can kind of spook you. What am I doing with my life? I need to do something exciting, like a treasure hunt. Sorry, we're not out now. We don't have enough time. Oh yeah, episode. That's alright. The real treasure was our friendship all along. I feel bad now. I'm sorry, Raymond, but literally we don't have enough time. We didn't even catch 5 bugs. I think we caught 3. We had to craft these items very quickly and then round up this episode here. We don't have to, but I am. Oh, we didn't even get 2 coconuts. I need to get 2 more coconuts. I'm a fool. What am I doing? Yeah, I thought it was an interesting order to explain what each thing was and what's going on after she gave me the earplugs and headphones. So I was just sort of going like, sure. Don't know what you're saying, but sure. But But yeah, they put this like thing on my chest, which is, I assume is meant to make things like easier to read or something, or to block things out. I don't know, to be perfectly honest. So, you know, it made breathing not like difficult, but harder than it had to be. You know, do I have breathing issues in the first place? I don't think I do, but sometimes, you know, sometimes I think I do, which is a weird thing. Which, maybe that's more of a symbol, maybe I do, and I just don't know. But, yeah, so, if I'm going to blame my rapid breathing, it's going to be on that thing, you know? It was literally just, like, pressing down on my chest. Or my lung, my sternum area. And I don't really know what you call it, the diaphragm area, sort of thing. So, I don't know. There we go, MRI scans. Medical imaging, there you go, that'll be the title for today's episode. I feel like I talked about MRI scans before, but maybe I haven't. I have to check back. Who knows? If I have a duplicate title, I have a duplicate title. Who knows? Who cares? I suppose is the moral of that story. But we'll round this episode up here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join the Dear Darling Discord. Follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we can see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Bye bye for now.